If you've ever replayed a conversation and thought, why do I suddenly feel guilty? This psychology fact is going to land uncomfortably close. Manipulation doesn't feel like pressure, it feels like you're choosing it yourself. Psychologists refer to this as covert influence, that process where control is exercised indirectly through emotion rather than authority. Once you recognize it, you'll start to notice why certain people leave you doubting yourself, explaining yourself, or quietly adjusting your behavior just to keep the peace. Most people expect manipulation to be obvious, but that assumption is exactly what allows it to work. Here's the uncomfortable truth: manipulation doesn't target weakness, it targets conscience. People who reflect, empathize, and try to be fair are often the easiest to influence because their brains are wired to maintain harmony, even when something feels off. And this next part explains why manipulation is so hard to detect in real time, because it doesn't arrive all at once, it shows up gradually through patterns you rationalize. Sign one, they quietly rewrite what happened. You recall a moment clearly, a comment, a decision, or a promise. They don't argue loudly. They calmly reinterpret it. They say things like, that's not what I meant. You misunderstood the tone. You're focusing on the wrong detail. Your mind prefers coherence over conflict. So instead of trusting your memory, you start adjusting it, and slowly they become the authority on what's real. Sign two, their needs always feel urgent. When they want something, it feels immediate, time sensitive, important right now, but your needs are met with delays or silence. Psychologically, urgency triggers compliance. Over time, your nervous system learns that responding quickly to them keeps things smooth, and hesitation creates tension. Sign three, you're praised for being understanding. They often compliment your patience, your maturity, your emotional depth, but only when you're accommodating them. When you push back, that praise disappears. Your empathy becomes the leverage. This works because your brain wants to stay consistent with the identity you're rewarded for. Sign four, disagreement becomes a personal flaw. Instead of addressing the issue, they reframe your resistance. You're not disagreeing, you're being difficult, overthinking, too emotional. Now the focus shifts from their behavior to your personality, and defending your character is far more exhausting than discussing a boundary. Sign five, important details are always missing. When you notice, they downplay it. I didn't think it was relevant. I didn't want to stress you. But incomplete information keeps you reactive instead of prepared, and reaction is easier to influence than clarity. Sign six, peace depends on your compliance. When you agree, things feel calm, effortless, even warm. When you don't, the mood shifts, not dramatically, just enough to feel uncomfortable. Your brain connects agreement with relief, resistance with tension. That's conditioning, not communication. Sign seven, apologies don't lead to change. They apologize when confronted. The words sound sincere, but the behavior stays the same. Psychology is clear here. An apology without adjustment is a pause, not accountability. Sign eight, you start managing their emotions before speaking. You calculate their reaction. You soften your words. You hold things back. That's not mutual understanding. Like, that's emotional self-monitoring to prevent discomfort. Over time, your voice gets quieter. Sign nine, responsibility shifts onto you. Problems become misunderstandings. Their actions become reactions. You find yourself taking responsibility for outcomes you didn't create just to move things forward. Your mind mistakes resolution for fairness. Sign 10, you feel relief in their absence. When they're not around, you feel lighter, calmer, more yourself. Not because you dislike them, but because your nervous system finally relaxes. That relief is information. If this feels familiar, pause. Here's the truth you've been avoiding. Consistent confusion is not a personality flaw. It's often a sign your boundaries are being tested. If you want to interrupt this pattern, start here. Stop asking, am I overreacting? Start asking, what keeps repeating? Manipulation hides in repetition, not intensity. When you trust patterns more than explanations, control quietly loses its grip. Manipulation doesn't announce itself, it blends in with reason, care, and familiarity, but awareness doesn't need confrontation to be powerful. Sometimes noticing the pattern is enough to step out of it.